Welcome, welcome. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's another edition of KARE 11 Sports Plus. I'm Julia Daniels here with Nasser Akelvi because guess what? Reggie is in LA covering the Wolves game happening tonight. Thanks so much for being here again, Nasser.
It's an honor to be here every single time to fill in for the great, the one and only Reggie Wilson. My pleasure, I insist.
Reggie's biggest fan is Nasser.
No question at all. Honestly, shout out my twin. Reggie Wilson.
Obviously, we have a few things to get to today. So the Wolves are playing.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard
They
the
sure
Wolves are
are.
playing.
They
The
sure
Wild just played another heartbreaker last night, so we got to get into that as well. Maybe touch on a little bit of Vikings towards the end. We'll see how much time we end up having because J.J. McCarthy did speak yesterday.
QB1.
Yeah.
QB1 did speak yesterday.
That's what he's hoping for. That's what a lot of people are hoping for. But first, we got to talk about the Timberwolves. Nasser, a lot of people, when we talked to them ahead of Game 4, we asked for predictions on the street. I didn't hear a Wolves in 6.
No.
All I heard was Wolves in 5.
Because the Wolves fans know what's coming.
Yeah.
It is Wolves in 5. And we're going to see that tonight. You saw how they closed out that game. They are not playing around. They're ready for this. They're ready to move on, honestly.
Oh, okay. That's where you see the momentum going.
Bring the Warriors here.
Okay.
Bring them to Minneapolis. Get ready for Minneapolis. That's all I got to say about it.
Okay, I like it. This is my only concern, all right? I have a little bit of hesitation.
Yeah.
Because I am, in some sort of way, an outsider to the Twin Cities. I'm from the South. Moved up here about 3 years ago, and I have gotten the opportunity to understand Minnesota sports from an outsider point of view, which means you make observations, right?
Yes.
And I think you're the most optimistic Minnesota fan that I actually probably have ever met in my entire life. So kudos to you, Nasser. Here's where I get worried. This team plays its best basketball when its back is against the wall.
100%.
And you take a 3-1 lead in a series against LeBron and Luka Doncic. I just get a little concerned because it doesn't a win tonight would not align necessarily with the character of this team. And so that's where my one concern is. What are your thoughts on my thoughts?
My thoughts on your thoughts are that I think you have some very good thoughts.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take it a step further and I say last year I was worried.
Yeah.
Right? The Phoenix Suns, we got matched up with them round 1. I was worried. We lost to them every single game in the regular season. They swept us in the regular season, only for us to do what to them in the playoffs?
Right.
We swept them. We sent them home. We sent KD home. We sent Devin Booker home. This is different in the way I think that this Wolves team has grown. I think as the playoffs come, they get better and better. And I know ultimately they kind of fell off a cliff last year in the Western Conference Finals against Luka Doncic that time. But this is different. This is first round. They have their legs with them. They have everything they need. Unless we see some egregious, nonsensical, completely ludicrous, belligerent fouls being called on the Wolves.
Right, which is a possibility.
Which happened last game, which has been happening this entire series. We talked about this last time. Why is Finch calling back-to-back challenges and both of the challenges are getting overturned? We've seen that kind of stuff happening already, but the fact that they've been able to battle through it, play through it, and then ultimately succeed and win in those situations tells me that these are not the same old Wolves.
Yeah. One thing that I do like about Chris Finch that does give me a little bit of confidence in my concern is that he is I would argue, the top coach in the NBA that's going to humble his team. He doesn't care that Anthony Edwards is a superstar and on the rise to being the face of the NBA. He doesn't care.
Nope.
When you ask him, and to take it a step further, it's not just that Finch treats his players as if like, you're just my player. Like, you have a job to do. Hey, listen, you have a job to do. It's that the players also respect that out of him, which is a hard balance to find, especially when you're talking about the NBA. So he talked on Tuesday. He said that they were pretty loose on some things in Game 4, and they have a lot of things to look forward to and to fix headed into this matchup. But one thing I will say is, before the postseason started, I said that Ant was really moving into this leadership status, and he's becoming the superstar that everyone's expecting him to be, right? 43 points in Game 4. He basically carried the last 5 minutes of that game. Dante said he's a mirror for us in a sense that he reminds them that the odds are never truly against them, which I think is Wow, so profound to hear somebody say.
Big ragu with some poetry.
Yeah, I know. Dante always has a good soundbite. But just your thoughts on Ant kind of coming into his own, especially right here at the right time.
I think this is the perfect time for him to do that. Real quick, I just want to circle back to what you said about Finch, because I think that's a really great point. And for Finch, this comes from, you got to look at Finch's track record. This is a guy who coached, he was overseas, he was minors, he worked his way to where he is now. And you only get up, you only get to climb that ladder by working hard. And he's clearly demanding that out of his team. This is not somebody who just got this job because he wanted it. There's no nepotism involved here. This is a real guy who, I hate to use the phrase, who pulled himself up by the bootstraps in the NBA to become the coach he is today. And like you saw it last year, he was a finalist for Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you need out of this squad. And when your team is so young, when your superstar is so young, and at times immature, you need a coach like Finch, and I think it's an absolutely perfect marriage. And you see, there doesn't seem to be that friction that you saw around the NBA when you had like John Morant and Taylor Jenkins.
Right.
And for whatever reason, that ended up with Taylor Jenkins being fired at right before the season started, and we saw how that worked out for the Grizzlies, obviously. When it comes to Ant, man, it's just fun to watch him do what he does. He seems to be taking so much joy out of it. It does not seem like it's a job to him at all. I mean, I was lucky enough to be there before, I think that was game 3. And you see this guy warming up, and he's not stressed at all. He's not like, oh my God, I got Luka coming, I got Bron coming. He's happy to be there. He's like, I'm happy I get to shoot.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is obviously he's still young, and I can't remember who said that yesterday. I think it was Stephen A. Smith or one of those guys said it. He's like, he's a $200 million man who's playing like he's broke. And,
Yeah, I like that.
And that's what Anthony Edwards does. He plays hungry.
He does, and he plays like he's just playing in his backyard too. And one other thing that I noticed, especially there in crunch time, was that he's up for Clutch Player of the Year, rightfully so. He, unlike what you may have seen in the past from him, when he was double and triple teamed when it mattered, he wasn't taking those shots.
No.
He was able to share the ball, spread the wealth, and optimize on those double and triple teams too. But here is Naz Reid. Naz Reid had something to say about their superstar as well. This is what he had to say about Ant today.
So it's like you still got to try to defend him at a high level. I mean, you can take one thing away, he's going to hit you with something else. So it doesn't matter. He might still hit you with the one thing you thought you took away. So he's a great player, and obviously it shows.
He might hit you with something else, even though you thought you took it away. He's a mirror for this team. He's a testament to the depth that they have. He's a testament to all of the tools that they have, and clearly it's working for them. So good stuff from the Wolves. Excited for this matchup, but we're not done talking about it. After the break, we're also going to hear from Rudy Gobert and a little bit more from Naz just about his career trajectory, because it's a little different than a lot of NBA players. Naz Reid, yeah, there you go.
I had to do it.
Start up the tattoo gun, everybody. Bring out your beach towels. Naz Reid. We're going to hear from both of those guys coming up after the break. Well, welcome back to KARE 11 Sports Plus. We are talking all Timberwolves and Wild today. Maybe a sprinkle of Vikings at the end. We'll see how much time we end up with. Yeah. We might have some time for that. We are talking Wolves right now, though. We just heard from Naz Reid talking about Ant being a superstar. We didn't really get to hear your thoughts, Nasser. What are your thoughts on Anthony Edwards and his progression through this season, and especially here at the postseason?
I think you pointed out rightly so earlier on in that last segment is how he responds to the double team, how he responds when the team says, okay, all we're going to do is take Anthony Edwards out of the game. How are you going to respond to that? And we saw, I think it was about like the midway point of the season where he got really frustrated. He said, I'm 23, I want to shoot the ball, I don't want to just be passing it. And that's the growth you see is when you make those decisions faster. And that's what you're seeing, literally the growth in front of our eyes is every time it seems like he has the ball, he's making the decision just a little bit faster. Where to get it to, how to get himself back open again. Whether he's dishing it out to Julius Randle and he's going to talk a bunch of trash to LeBron James, whatever he's going to do, you see the game just starting to make more sense and maybe slow down for him a little bit. And just one more thing I want to point out on that vein is a lot of Wolves fans, myself included, were worried when we lost Kyle Anderson.
Yeah.
Slow-mo, not just because of, what he does on the court, which is, more or less not super duper impressive compared to everybody else, but what he brings to the team on a mental level.
Yeah.
What he does to the team, to Ant specifically, to be able to break down the game, to talk to him about what's going on, how teams are trying to stop him. And you saw Ant pointed out after this last game of how now Dante DiVincenzo has stepped into that role.
Yeah.
And he's helping him out understand what the defense is trying to do to take him away. And Ant has always been really somebody who can receive that information well and not get upset by it, not try to get frustrated by it. And now he's putting all that together, being able to take the information and then apply it in real time in these games.
Yeah, his basketball IQ, his ability to observe first half in particular, and then adjust at halftime. It's something that we saw in game 2, I believe, was he watched maybe it was game 1, actually. He watched what the Lakers were doing and how they were defending him, not just him, though, the rest of the team. He took it into the half. He went into the locker room and he told his team, this is what they're doing, this is how they're doing it, and here's what we have to do to change. Something I thought also that was interesting, Mike Conley, you bring in this guy, he's an older veteran, but his basketball IQ is like a whole other level.
Yeah.
And Mike Conley may not put up numbers, but his influence on this team has been so crucial. And I think that they specifically brought him in to help turn Ant into the leader that he's becoming, right? And so Ant's become more vocal when it comes to figuring out strategy and things like that, which is something that Mike was doing last year. Mike had that role. And Mike said before this series started that Ant kind of sat the entire team down because they had a week to prepare, obviously, and sat the entire team down and said, the basketball that we're playing right now is not going to be good enough for the postseason. So we have to figure this out. And Mike said that was like a springboard for them headed into the postseason. He said something about him just making sure that everybody was on the same page. Like, he took the time to call guys, to sit down with them one-on-one. He's also been watching more film than he's ever watched in probably his entire life, because I think that he's realizing it's not just a fly off the seat of your pants kind of lead either, which is why we've seen so much consistent success from him too. But also want to talk about Rudy. Rudy, you had some thoughts on Rudy last week when we talked.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts now on his performance?
I've changed my mind a little bit on Rudy.
Yeah?
I used to demand offensive greatness from him just a little bit every now and then because they don't have a center that can stop him. I don't know, man. It's not happening.
Yeah.
He's just not doing what I thought he would be doing in the situation. But it's not as bad because you know what you want Rudy to do. What I wanted Rudy to do, at least on a personal basis, was punish these guys in the paint. At least bang into them. You know what I mean? Like, make your presence felt. Rudy's not doing that, but you know who is? Someone we got to give a big shout out to is Julius Randle.
Yeah.
Julius Randle has been hooping. He's been balling. He's been clawing for the ball. He's been pushing. He's been fighting. He's been doing everything you want a guy to do physically, and that allows Ant to get that time to figure out what's going on. We've seen him back-to-back games where Ant's going to kind of, just survey a little bit, pass the ball up, and it's all Julius Randle in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And that's happened multiple times this series because Julius has that physical style of basketball that maybe doesn't show up in the regular season as much. It's the playoffs. Guys are tired.
Yeah.
And this is the bully ball that he wants to play. And now he gets to play that. And Ant, in the meantime, just kind of gets to see, survey, watch, and understand what's happening in the game until it's time for him to take over.
And when we had our Timberwolves Extra on Sunday night, I told the audience that they all owe Julius Randle a huge apology, and myself included too, because people were dogging on him. A little bit rightfully so, but I think the expectation that he was just going to come into this brand new organization and automatically know what was going on is insane. But that being said, he took that time when he was injured to really evaluate how this team works, because if you think about it, he never had that time to begin with.
Yeah.
He never got a chance to really dissect what the Wolves game is and what they're trying to accomplish, because he came in and was just thrown into the fire with the rest of the guys that were included in that trade, who also were struggling. Let's not forget that too. But now we see him really grasp and take ownership of his role, and the fact that it's a little bit different than his role that he's had in the past too. He now knows that the expectation is not him to take every shot that's on the floor, because he's on a team that has multiple people that can do that. And so that's been something that's interesting to see for me about Julius Randle. And he also just, it's part of the depth that we constantly talk about that the Lakers don't have too.
Right.
So headed into tonight, obviously that's something that we'll keep an eye out for. Maybe the Lakers can figure it out, but they don't have the depth. They kind of emptied the tank when it came to Game 4. But we want to hear from Rudy right now, because Rudy did actually talk about the resiliency and the characteristics of this team. Check it out.
It's our spirit. We have a lot of confidence in ourselves and each other, and in the work that we've put in, over the last few years, at least from what I've seen. And we want to win. We have winners. We have guys that a lot of times refuse to lose. It's been really cool to see the way we've been able to close games.
Also, have to give a shout out to Naz Reid.
Naz
We
Reid.
were talking about him a little bit earlier, but he has proven that he just shines in the postseason.
Absolutely.
And we're seeing it all over again. What are your thoughts?
I want to say one thing. You know, Lakers fans always are on social media and they're always saying only against the Lakers.
Yeah.
Only against the Lakers. Oh, this dude's not even that good. But against the Lakers, I'm not going to lie. Naz Reid does seem to have some kind of personal vendetta against the Lakers.
You would
Earlier in
think
his
it'd be Jaden, right?
Yeah, you would think so. You would think anyone. You think one of the really like guys who's known for being like angry for doing it. But Naz Reid, I don't know if something happened to him, if he wanted to go play for the Lakers, if he has someone out in LA that he really loves. I don't know what it is, but this dude just balls against the Lakers. And we're not winning that game without Naz Reid making that clutch three. Right in the closing, what was that, like a minute, 10 seconds left? You pass off to Naz Reid, no hesitation, nothing but the net. I mean, you got to love to have a guy like him, and that's also why this Wolves team needs to be urgent. While we have Naz Reid, we don't know what his future is going to hold.
Yeah, and that game 1-2 was just phenomenal as well. I mean, he was the reason they had so much insurance there. But his story is a little bit different than a lot of people in the league, too. And he had something to say about that as well at Morning Shootout this morning. So listen to this.
Kind of been the story of my career, you know, not going on well, or how I thought it would be, you know, earlier in my career, undrafted and so forth and so on. Just being able to stick with it and understand, you know, it might come back to you, it might not, but when it does, you know, make the best of it. So, I mean, you can have a good game, finish it off, you know, strong. If I have a great game, finish it off even better. Just kind of have that type of mindset.
He really knows how to wipe the slate clean, too. Let's also not forget that this guy played for Will Wade, too, in college. Probably, I mean, say what you want about the guy. He's an excellent basketball coach. Just very cool. Your predictions for tonight's game, Nasser?
Barring anything egregious, I got the Wolves winning 123-101.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Barring anything egregious.
Okay.
Tune back into this. Watch this again later on. Watch this back. This will air before the game airs. So I'm
123,
lock me in.
101?
Lock me in.
Wow.
Lock it in.
Okay, a
Lock it in right now.
22-point win for the Wolves tonight is what Nasser has. I'm going to go, here's my thing. I'm not going to say necessarily a score. I'm going to say if it's not a one-possession game for 90% of this game, Wolves have it. I think they're going to have a really tough time with this officiating tonight, being in LA, because the facts are the facts. And for those that know, you guys know how this TV thing works. Huge audience in LA. I'm not saying there's conspiracy theory here, but I'm just saying.
I'll say
I'm just saying. Though everyone struggles in LA against the Lakers because they do get favorability among the officials. Let's just say that.
You know who doesn't struggle against the Lakers in LA, though?
Naz Reid.
Naz Reid.
Naz Reid doesn't.
Naz
But
Reid.
if he does tonight, maybe that will tell us something. Who knows?
Yeah, there it is. That'd be egregious. That'd be the egregious thing that I said.
Would be the egregious thing that happens. All right, when we come back, we are going to talk a little bit of Wild because, boo, heartbreaker last night against Vegas in Vegas. So we do have to break that down. We'll hear from Ryan Hartman and head coach John Hines coming up after the break. Well, welcome back to KARE 11 Sports Plus. Julia Daniels, Nasser Kelvey, filling in for our sports director, Reggie Wilson, because guess what? He's out west in LA covering this Wolves game tonight. Besides that, though, we have to talk about the other team that's also in the postseason in their first round of and it's a best-of-7 series that maybe isn't going so great as the Wolves right now. It's the Wild. The Wild played the Vegas Golden Knights in Vegas last night. That is 2 overtime heartbreakers in a row. Nasser, you watched this game. What were your thoughts?
Oh, man. You know what my thought was? Honestly, the Minnesota Wild and the Minnesota Vikings are the exact same team. They are literally the same team. They might have the same players. Like, if I could see the Vikings players a little bit better, I'd be able to know. But it is so crushing. It is soul crushing to watch how the Wild played, just to think, oh my God, they did it.
Right.
I knew it was too good to be true. As a Minnesota sports fan, I was like, this cannot be. And sure enough, the challenge comes. I'm like, what? It stood still?
Yeah.
Then another challenge, and then just like that. It seemed like 30 seconds, and now Vegas has scored in overtime, and the game's over.
Yeah.
And it seemed like only 30 seconds has happened since the last time Vegas scored in overtime when the game ended.
I know that was tough. Well, if you guys didn't see the game last night, the game was all tied up at 2. So that was a goal from Matt Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov, both assisted by Joel Eriksson Ek. He is just, we'll talk about maybe that in just a little bit. But Ryan Hartman scores in the third period, and unfortunately, they automatically do a review, right? They said it's fine. Everything's fine.
He didn't kick the puck.
Vegas says, not so fast. We're going to challenge that really quick. And turns out Gustav Nyquist entered the offensive zone inches before the puck did to make it an offside goal. So it really is a game of inches, people. Tough stuff.
Yeah.
Just like, what are you going to do at that point?
Where do you go from there? I mean, you did all the things right
And
almost.
you feel for Gustav too, because and Ryan Hartman said this post game. He's like, you're offsides 50 times during a game. It's just that like that's when it mattered that you were offside, and so that's obviously a tough watch. And of course, Ryan Hartman post game, he did have a little bit to say about that heartbreaking challenge that was overturned. Take a look.
Yeah, I mean, thought we had it, the go-ahead goal there, but we brought the game back to where we wanted. We had a chance in OT. Obviously we would have liked it that one counted, but like I said, we had a chance on the road in OT to win. But we gotta come back to Minnesota and get a win at home.
Come back to Minnesota and get a win at home. Ryan Hartman has been such a difference maker in this line, replacing Marco Rossi. He has really set the tone, and it's been fun to watch him succeed in that sense too. But I also want to give a shout out to Joel Eriksson as well, because he may not have the goals necessarily to be so shiny and bright when it comes to the postseason, but he has been so crucial in helping these goals happen as well. So nice to have him back. Obviously, this is a tough loss for the Wild, and I do want to give a shout out to Marc-Andre Fleury.
Oh my God, I was gonna give a shout out to. If you didn't, I was gonna give a shout out to
Let's hear it, Nasser.
I've said this before, and people say I'm uneducated on hockey when I say this. Marc-Andre Fleury, G-O-A-T. Marc-Andre Fleury is my goat.
Yeah.
Marc-Andre Fleury is the goat to me, man. He had such a phenomenal third period. I understand what happened in the fourth, or I understand what happened in the overtime.
Right.
But he was phenomenal the entire third period. I mean, the Wild went 12 minutes without even attempting a shot in the third period. And Marc-Andre Fleury is standing strong. He's doing everything possible to keep his team in the game, and he did the entire game.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, and even the shot that they got him with in overtime. That's a crazy shot to me.
Right.
I mean, like, how do you? I mean, you can't be everywhere at once. To me, you can't really take anything away from Marc-Andre Fleury on that game.
No, I would agree with you there. An interesting, fun little stat for you guys with his appearance last night. So the reason, if you guys didn't know, Philip Gustafsson started the game in net. He was actually sick headed in, and by the time the third period rolled around, he was like, I can't do this. And so you have a guy like Flower that he's getting up there, but He's still got it. That would make 18 Stanley Cup playoff appearances.
Wow.
Which is the most by any goalie.
Goat.
In NHL history. So you're right. You are valid in saying GOAT there.
Thank you.
I will say that. Another thing too that we also have to acknowledge is this Wild defense. I think that a lot of times it gets overlooked because it's hockey and goals are amazing, and this is, but Flower was, let's not deny it, he was very much helped out by his defense.
Absolutely.
I think there were 6 shots in total in his time that he was out there from Vegas. No, 7 shots. 6 of them were blocked. But that's saying something. I think they got to 6 minutes and 15 seconds left in the third period before a shot was even sent his way. So that says something about the Wild defense as well. But when we come back, we are going to hear from head coach John Hynes, of course. He's ever the optimist, which we love to see, but we're also going to break down maybe some not so great statistics when it comes to where they're at in this series right now, especially against a team like the Golden Knights. So stick with us after the break. Well, welcome back to KR11 Sports Plus. I'm Julia Daniels, now Sarah Kelvey, filling in for our sports director, Reggie Wilson, while he's in LA covering the Wolves. But we're talking Wild right now. We're just giving kudos out to Marc-Andre Fleury for his performance last night, despite that overtime loss. Here's some stats that maybe Wild fans won't be too interested in. This is the 6th time in Wild history that they have dropped a Game 5 after being tied up at 2 in a series, which is always tough. The stats are really not in their favor right now. So here's how this works. Winner of Game 5 in a tied up 2-2 Stanley Cup playoff series. The winner of Game 5 advances 80% of the time. That being said, the Wild are back at home at the X tomorrow night. 6:30 puck drop, for those that don't know. Brock Faber, I think, said it best. He said, Thursday's the only thing that matters right now, and that's all that we're thinking about. We're not thinking about the fact that it was a bummer overtime loss. That's over, said and done. John Hines also had some thoughts about Game 6 and what they've got to do. So take a look at this.
Just like we always do. I mean, we're down in the game. You know, we come from behind. I mean, you know, it's really no different. Like, you can't get too high, you can't get too low. You know, it's a race to 4. It's not a race to 3. Like I've said all along in this series, it's right there. Like, we're a highly competitive team. The series is competitive. This one didn't go our way tonight, but there's another one coming, and you know, that's what obviously that's what the focus is, and that's when you say draw on your experiences, that's been our mindset all year long, which is why I repeatedly say our messaging and things when you go through the regular season, because you know there's going to be moments like this. So, you know, that's what it is. You take the lessons out of this one and you get ready for the next one.
You take the lessons out of this one and you get ready for the next one. So true. I think that is the characterization of this Wild team, is facing adversity, moving on from it. Your predictions for Game 6?
Wild are going to win. Wild are going to win the series. It's going to go to 7. Obviously, it has to at this point. I think Wild are going to win. The key here, unfortunately, the Wild just cannot let it go to OT, man. You got to do whatever you can. Sell out. We can't go 10, 12, 13 minutes in the third period without taking a shot.
Yeah.
That's just not going to be a winning recipe. It almost didn't matter, but it ended up mattering anyway in this last game. I think the Wild are going to be okay. I think they're going to do just fine. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win, hopefully handily, tomorrow night. I'm hoping for a 4-2 win.
Oh, okay, 4-2. All right. They have been outshot most of, if not this entire series, which says something about this team too, because they're still hanging with them despite that number. Here's what I will say: if it does go to overtime, the odds are in the Wild's favor right now. Yeah, I mean, the chances of Vegas winning 3 overtime games in a row, knock on wood, are low. I don't know the exact stats on that, but I can tell you in real life, that's low. Granted, it's Vegas, so we're doing all the betting and all the odds.
Minnesota sports fans know better. We know better. You can't count on them.
But here's what I will say. If Vegas does do that, I'm buying a lottery ticket.
Oh, my God.
I'm just putting that out there.
My God.
Yeah, hopefully, you know, maybe you're right. It was such a Minnesota way to lose. Just a great goal from Ryan Hartman taken back, and then in overtime, you know, 4 minutes into overtime, they lose. We'll see how this pans out at the X. If I can say anything, it's that the Wild, well, this is not great either. The Wild haven't played well at home this year. But this is the Stanley Cup playoff, and things are always different when it comes to the postseason, and these fans are fired up.
They need to be leading after the second period. That's the one thing we know about the Wild.
Yes,
they need to be leading after the second period. They're going to be okay.
Can't break that streak. Well, that is all of our KARE 11 Sports Plus for today. Stick with us because we have coverage all week long of the Wolves and the Wild. And make sure you check out Reggie tonight at 10. He is live from LA in that Wolves game. Have a great week, everyone.